of Washington.
Well, the clock is ticking now, of course, on this nuclear deal with Iran as Secretary of State John Kerry holds last-minute meetings ahead of tomorrow's deadline in Vienna. Meanwhile, critics are saying that the Obama administration has already made too many dangerous concessions.
This agreement will not prevent Iran from having nuclear weapons capability. And that's the concern of many of the experts and the former inspectors, current inspectors who are looking at this, is that this agreement is not really going to be able to constrain Iran in the least. As a matter of fact, the Ayatollah continues to say, death to America, you know, in his speeches.
He sure does. That's exactly right. Gillian Turner joins us now, senior associate at Jones Group International and a Fox News contributor. Gillian, welcome. Good to have you here. You know, when you look back, as I know you have, into the history of this relationship between President Obama and the leadership in Iran in working on this, they requested back in 2009, they sort of opened that door and said, you know, there are hostages that we would like released. Then there were the secret letters that went back and forth between the president and the leadership in Iran, sort of trying to open the door to this negotiation. So they are invested in this. They've been working on this for a very long time, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, the three big issues on the table today, sanctions, inspections, and the matter of past nuclear research, are really just as problematic now as they were at the start of the actual negotiations a year and a half ago. You know, the fact is, the progress has not been as forthcoming as the administration had counted on, and that's why there's no resolution yet.
Yeah. You know, I think the bottom line in all of this is, would a deal make us safer or not? Or would it create a more dangerous situation? And I don't know that that's a question that's being, you know, sort of handled in a very open way in these negotiations.
No, and the more immediate question for everybody to think about today and tomorrow is the matter of timing, because the very harsh reality here is that the longer these negotiations are allowed to drag on, the better it is for the Iranian regime. The longer they can avoid inking a deal, the more time they have to push forward unfettered with their nuclear program. You know, they'd love nothing more than for this to drag on another year.
You know, Ayatollah Khomeini is sort of, you know, he likes to spout on Twitter and elsewhere about the red lines and about the inspections and how they would never allow their scientists to be subject to random inspections, that he simply wouldn't allow that. Now, there's a big piece over the weekend about whether or not that's just bluster, whether he's trying to keep people happy on the hardline side in Iran and also, you know, sort of keep those negotiations going, and, you know, the idea that he might be open to some kind of final negotiation. What do you think is the case?
I think that's really the Ayatollah pandering to his own domestic constituency as, you know, the sort of ultimate hardliner in Iran. That's sort of his job. But I also agree with something that General Mike Hayden said just yesterday, which is that you have to follow the rhetoric with these negotiations, because perception counts for a heck of a lot more than the administration would like to believe. You know, during the entire run-up to this deadline, the Ayatollah's rhetoric has been very critical, very obstinate. But in recent days, he's really amped it up, talking about red lines now, which is a direct insult to the American president. It's a reference to his handling of the Assad regime in Syria. I think that at the end of the day, it's not just what's written on paper that counts, it's public perception as well.
I mean, they're talking a whole lot tougher than we are as you get down to the end of this negotiation. And clearly, they believe that you have to negotiate from a position of strength, that you have to throw out really your sort of farthest red line in this and say, this is what we absolutely won't do. But are we doing that on our side? Are we saying, look, there's not going to be any deal unless you absolutely agree to these spontaneous inspections that General Hayden has said are an absolute must?
You know, the State Department's position on this all along has been to encourage the American public to not pay attention. Don't follow the rhetoric, don't pay attention to what the Grand Ayatollah is saying. This is a deal that's being executed, negotiated by foreign ministers. That's why Secretary Kerry's involved. But President Obama and the Ayatollah on the other side, are implicitly recognizing that political calculations and political sentiments really count here. And that's why, as we get closer and closer to tomorrow's deadline, they're really amping up the kind of public commentary on this.
Well, we know that under the leadership of Khamenei, the Ayatollah Khamenei, they've seen these centrifuges go from just in the teens to the thousands. So really, those actions may speak louder than anything else in terms of what his intentions are. Gillian, thank you. We'll see you next time.